I'd say that roots more often than not are pretty trivial in Mythic Plus dungeons. Sometimes you'll use them to like stop patrols, but in Blackrook Hold, there's a couple usages of it, roots in particular, that are very good for boss mechanics. And in today's tip, we're going to be talking about how you can trivialize some boss fights by utilizing entangling roots. So first off, we're going to be talking about Amulet Souls, which is the first boss of Blackrook Hold. Whenever you push the boss to 50%, the boss will enter this phase where it'll have these witches coming out, walking towards the boss. They're called Restless Souls. You can actually CC them with things such as like entangling roots. You can like snare them, you can grip them, that kind of stuff. It's also important to note that the reason that roots are so important is because these mobs are immune to most other types of like CC effects, such as like, you know, freezing trap or blind or whatever. They're going to be immune to that. So that's kind of why the permanent root is the important variable here, or just like the root in general. And you can leave them CC'd off to the side. And what this does is the boss actually has two conditionals to phase. The first conditional to phase is killing all the ads. And so you can probably see where this is going here. With utilizing a permanent CC such as a root, even like landslide root or entangling root, then you're able to leave these mobs stuck in CC for the remainder of the fight, because the second conditional on the boss phasing out of this phase is 15% HP. And it's whichever one occurs first. And so you actually gain no penalty for doing this. If the Restless Souls contact the boss gains like damage, but the boss doesn't consume the souls whenever the 15% threshold is hit. And so thus you're going to actually just leave the boss in this phase. And like you see on screen here, we're going to wait until the boss hits 15% HP. The boss is then going to start casting its ability. The Restless Soul doesn't despawn. In fact, it starts like mailing your tank at the end of the fight. But let's talk about the second route that you can do. And this is actually, I'm pretty sure, unique only to roots, because I don't actually think you can CC these mobs with any other mechanics. And it's actually on the second boss, Ilisana Raven Crest. And this one, I'm going to be honest, way less useful than the first one. I think the first one is giga free boss damage. It is a great tactic that you should use in pretty much every single dungeon. Everybody should learn that. This one, I think, is less useful for a couple of different reasons. First off, it's basically, the premise of this is that you can root this Vanguard off to the side and utilize, again, things such as, you know, entangling roots. You can utilize, you know, Earth Grab Totem, landslide root, that kind of thing, to leave that mob CC'd off to the side. It'll just end up casting Bone Crushing Strike. It can cast Bone Crushing Strike through the wall, so kind of be careful. And it actually saves you a decent amount of damage that you can otherwise like pump into the boss or just continue to cleave. I think that this is less useful because you need to kill the Arcanist regardless, and so I think that like having to re-CC this Vanguard is kind of annoying, especially whenever you get the I-beam on you. It could be useful for some instances. I think it's I've left it CC'd sometimes with entangling root. I don't think it's like great, because also the positioning that you have to, you know, CC it in is not ideal. But it does save you a decent amount of damage. This boss, you know, I've never had it phase twice. I think it's maybe possible that it phases twice on like a very high tyrannical key, but more often than not, it doesn't phase twice. The Vanguard actually doesn't really do anything anyways. So if you wanted to, you could actually just kind of delay this, and it's useful to only focus down the Arcanist, and then you just cleave off the boss and then hit the Vanguard incidentally. That could be valuable. But in the end, though, roots are pretty good in Blackrook Hold, especially for the first boss. I wanted to bring this tip for you guys to allow you to see it, and I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.